I'm one of the directors of Infinite Insight, which is a recently formed market research agency based in Lagos but operating across sub-Saharan Africa. And we launched the agency with the view toward bringing innovation into agency business. So we try to be a bit shifted or geared or biased toward technology, internet, communications, and the like. When you ask about comparing Nigeria and Kenya, the greatest advantage of the Nigerian market is its huge size. You have 180 million people as compared to 40 million in Kenya. As for what Kenya could learn from Nigeria, it is the enterprising spirit. It's the drive to succeed. For instance, when you compare some of the marketing budgets, of course, they seem to be higher in West Africa, not just Nigeria, West Africa as a general. But when it comes to the new technology, internet, Kenya actually is in the lead. By now we have 3 fiber optic cables coming to Kenya. Nigeria got its own just 2 weeks ago and has very little coverage. So Nigeria is lagging behind. But of course, the country is hoping to catch up. All of West Africa will be catching up.
Okay, when you look at it, you use Nigeria as, with its big population, as a good marketing point. But now that Kenya, you cannot just consider Kenya then. You have to think about the East African community and maybe also think about COMESA because they're not trading as a bloc. What do you think the advantages now?
Well, the greatest advantages East Africa have right now is that innovative spirit. We have, there was a BBC report on iHub in Nairobi. You have the infrastructure farther advanced than West Africa. That gives you a competitive advantage. Even though, because of sheer population size, Nigeria has more internet users. But for instance, Facebook, it's 400,000 Nigerian members. In Kenya, it's 700,000. And that opens up a lot of marketing opportunities for those companies willing to seize the opportunity.
I heard you talk about companies and how they're not using such social networks, but you didn't talk about the role of government in all this. Do you think government has a role?
That's when good governance comes into play. And I think the one why we're even talking about it is because Obama started it, launching a whole campaign based on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and the like. I think it would be desirable. Whether it's immediately feasible, no. Because as I said, you catch the elites, the affluent group in the population. You capture the corporate segment that already has plenty avenues for lobbying. But if government relied on social media, you would neglect the rural population. So that doesn't mean it couldn't be done, but there's also the danger or the risk that it might be that the wrong conclusions would be drawn, or that you get a sort of myopic view of what the population thinks. So I would say that traditional survey research would help government much more than social media at this point in time.
Maybe if I may ask you the final question. You talked about online research and the traditional research. Maybe you can summarize it just a little bit by giving us the positives and the negatives and why it is not that applicable in the developing world and maybe Africa?
Okay. Online research has the potential for speed. It has it gives some sort of privacy that you wouldn't have in face-to-face situations. For instance, when you talk about embarrassing topics, people might be more open if they don't see an interviewer. It definitely has advantages in corporate interviewing, corporate research. If you ever try to chase a CEO of a company who hops between appointments, it's very difficult to get hold of them. In an online situation, that could be overcome. The limitation at this point, you do not cover the population. You cover 10%, 16%, but that's not really good enough to say Kenyans think or Nigerians think. You can say the Nigerian online community or Kenyan internet users, but that's as far as it goes.
Okay.
So you could not do representative population surveys, not yet.
Maybe from any of you, maybe you might tell us why Kenya, we have not yet seen an online research, maybe why you still embrace traditional research. Are they the same reasons that maybe should point out?
I think we do. What Margit was saying is that the opportunities to use it are fewer. We can only use it when the audience that we are researching has an online presence. So if we are researching the population in general, most Kenyans don't have an online presence, and therefore we can't use it as a tool. So it is used in corporate research. It is used for research, online research about online activity, etc. But it's not possible to use it when you're asking about blue band, or you're asking about, the toothpaste that people use, because everyone who uses toothpaste doesn't have an online presence. So it's the people that we're speaking to that determine the method, and not the method itself.
Okay, by the advancements in market research, maybe all over the world, maybe you can tell us from the education that we're getting in Kenya, from how the research is being conducted. At what level are you satisfied? Do you have somewhere, maybe a few more steps to take?
The level of research that we do in Kenya is the same level, and the clients very often are the same clients around the world. Coca-Cola wants the same level of research from Kenya, from Nigeria, as they want from Brazil, from Illinois. They want exactly the same level of research. So the technology that we use within analyzing the research is the same. The methodologies we use are very often the same. However, collecting the information differs by different countries, different continents. In Kenya and in Nigeria, the best way to collect the information is still face-to-face, actually finding people and talking to them face-to-face. That's more problematic in different countries. In Europe, in America, people don't have time to talk to you face-to-face. We're very lucky in Africa. People still take the time to answer questions. They still are interested in giving their opinion. In Europe, in America, Australia, etc., people are in much more of a hurry, and the online research is much more popular. First of all, you have many more people with access to it, and therefore it can represent the population, but also the conveniences that Margit talked about, the ease of people being able to do it in their own time, in their own way, in privacy, etc. That it makes it much more valuable to the needs of that population. In Kenya and in Nigeria, people still want face-to-face conversations. They're still willing to answer questions, so most data collection is done face-to-face.
What about the level of education? If I wanted a big grade or maybe a higher diploma in research, can I get it here or maybe?
No, most universities don't actually offer degrees in research. You do your degree in social sciences, in marketing, etc., and then organizations like MSRA provide the on-the-job training in research. But there are very few formal courses in most universities for research at the undergraduate level. There are more sophisticated courses at the graduate level in, statistical analysis, particular ways of looking at political analysis, etc., things like that. But here there is no research, there's no degree in research offered.
Basically, what we've done, we have partnered with the universities and colleges so that they can invite people like us to go and instill some of those skills. So we do corporate talks where she could go and talk to them, I could go and talk to them. We also participate in career talks in the universities and in the colleges, and we are trying basically to interest people into research and also to get them to understand the industry, so that, because we found that many people get into research by accident.
Okay, if I was in Northeast and maybe I was far away from Nairobi, what are the chances that I will get that opportunity to get such education when it comes to research, or you just concentrated to Nairobi, and how much human capacity do you have that you can distribute to other areas?
Okay, in terms of human capacity for research, we are still limited. It's one of the gaps that we are trying to fill. That's why we are doing a lot of training as an association. And again, in terms of if you are very rural, deep rural, there may be very remote chances. But also, some people get exposure to research as they are asked questions by other researchers. So those who are curious enough, they follow up to find out how they can get into doing the same. And we have some examples in the industry who have basically come from very deep rural, and they were interviewed and they were interested, and because they are told where they can find the company that is doing the research, they end up getting into contact and getting into very high levels in research.
Okay, finally, maybe you can tell us what your organization, you as the chairman, do in Kenya and some of the achievements that you have registered.
In Kenya, basically what we're trying to do is to create a professional body and create a professional resource for many researchers. And basically what I would like to say is that we are not just in Kenya. Actually, most of the member agencies for MSRA, they use Nairobi as their hubs. So in fact, in Nigeria, you'll find many of the agencies have done work there also. Like if a Nigerian agency want to do work in Kenya, they would also work with an agency in Kenya. So there is a convergence at some point, and we are finding the world becoming a smaller place. So Kenya is just an address.
Okay, so maybe does any of you maybe can ever ask something that you'd like to bring into the public and into the light? Maybe challenging.
Having a challenge of having good enough people, so that's why we are doing a lot of training in research. We're also looking for people who are interested in research to build them so that there is succession when we leave.
Okay, I think I would like to add that association that we're doing here. And there are very many bright, brilliant people. But because it's Lagos or it's somewhere else, they're not yet acknowledged to the degree that they deserve. So actually, press could help a lot, giving us greater prominence. And the MSRA certainly is deserving of that.
Okay, that's something that you'll be reaching us next.
Yes. We are trying to achieve global standards, so we link with the world research bodies like ESOMAR. So also we disseminate the same to our membership, and we want it to be a situation whereby if you know that this research has been done by an MSRA member, you know that you can depend on it, because also there are other people who are doing research and they don't have the skills, they don't follow the standards, and they can put the industry at jeopardy. So we are looking at having standards and having people have that mark of quality from MSRA.
Society of Kenya, of which we have already given them our